What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Alrighty guys, so it's been a minute since we did a video. I think it's coming up like a month or so, but it's been pretty hectic. We ended up having our newborn baby, baby Shelby, and also just general life stuff, busy with work. We ended up going away over the New Year's period. We took Betty the bourbon up there. There's a couple issues with that, but I'll run you through that later on. But finally going to squeeze a few hours in on the DALE30. So all I've got to do pretty much is I just want to put a plug-in line for this analog oil gauge, and then I can get the center console ready to mount. Pretty much chuck that in, and also just want to modify the shifter because I wanted to have the shifter a bit longer. Last time I just glued this ball on the end of what was there, but what I want to do is cut this. This is just an old shifter. Cut this down, and I can add about 100 mil onto the length, and also have it removable so that when I'm using the center console, I can put the center console in and out. If I have the ball welded on there, I can't slide that off. So that's the plan anyway. We're going to probably start off, get this gauge wiring ready. Just going to put a plug in there pretty much, and also have the signal wire going through for the pressure, just so that if I go to remove the center console, it's just one plug for all the wires instead of having to undo all these. So we'll get set up and do a bit of wiring. So I decided to run about 100 mil length of cable out the back of the gauge. Sort of just a nice sort of length that I can put a bit of loom wrap on there and make it look tidy. And you'll see usually when I do the joins, I twist them, and before I put the soldering iron on there, I just give it a quick preheat with a lighter, just to speed up the heating process for the soldering iron. Just makes it a bit faster. Okay guys, so I've managed to get the wire here ready for plugging in the gauge, and here's the other half here. That's how that turned out. Pretty much the gauge good to go. Those wires ready to go, so just plug and play pretty much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the welding that I need to do on the shifter. So I'm going to just drag the bench over because the welder's in the bench and it's on wheels. Just got to weld this on there, and then use this wheel nut and weld the wheel nut onto that, so that my nut, that's pretty much a removable knob, and that's just a standard thread. So we'll drag the welder over, buzz that on, because I want to do that before I put the center console in, just so I don't risk damaging or burning any of that. May as well try and keep that as nice as I can. So we'll get into that. Overalls was a bit more flammable than I thought it would be. Alright guys, so with that shifter pretty much ready to go, I just need to bum a hole through here for the oil pressure gauge, just in the center console, and then we should be able to start fitting it up. And I do just need to drill a couple of holes in the back here as well, but I'll do them in position where there's some wiring for my main fuse that sits here. So we'll get I was going to find out that's too big. Oh, it's too small. 2 inch. Said it was a 50mm hole. That's right, I'll give it a quick whiz out with a die grinder. Sweet. Nice little push fit in. So I've just got a rib nut at the back here. Hopefully you can see alright. It's quite hard to get good light in here. Need to figure out a way to have better light in here when I'm filming. Okay guys, so just finished off the last few bits. Center console's all mounted up, the gauge is in, and then I just had to change around some of the fittings to fit the new oil pressure sender. I just had to put a little 8BSP 90 in there because the way the sender unit was way bigger and it actually hit the oil filter. So theoretically it should be all good. I'm going to jump in there, put the battery on, and then we'll pretty much see if that gauge goes, give it a start up and just check that it actually everything runs sweet, because I've also replaced the exhaust header gasket on the right hand bank and haven't ran it since then, so we'll see if it's still leaking. Let's go in. Seems to be reading oil pressure. Sitting on just over 30 psi at idle. Might just hop out and check that exhaust leak. Sounds alright. It was coming from this cylinder here. I think after I welded those, when I welded those headers up, I probably should have planed the face of them, but I didn't, so. So I figured I'd back it up quick. It's a bit easier to see inside the car in the daylight, not inside the workshop. So stoked with how the center console came out. Still got a bit of finishing off to do in here, but generally speaking, this thing gets so dusty so quick. Alrighty guys, so I think everything seems to be pretty sweet. I might just take it for a quick cruise and we'll just check mostly the brakes, because I haven't played with the brake bias much, and also just double check the handbrake. Not gonna do anything too crazy, just give it a quick little run. Pretty much check the gauges too, keep an eye on that oil pressure gauge and also the OBD linked real dash. Let's see. Fuck, I'm stuck. It's like a slightest little grass hump that we're stuck on. tell you what, I certainly forgot how well it pulls. It's so much better with that other diff ratio. Holy whack. It's nowhere near as just blah, blah, blah. So the but everything seems to be going sweet, but I noticed like it didn't pick up much oil pressure up in the revs on the analog gauge, and then even when I came back down to idle here and the oil was hot, it seemed to have dropped down to having hardly any oil pressure. But when it was sitting here idling before, it was fine. So I'm just going to do a bit of homework on that and see what the go is, whether try and somehow just double check that. It is only quite a cheap analog oil gauge, and also I'm definitely going to have to do some learning and sort out the alignment on the front, because as soon as it started to step out a little bit, it was like it was just trying to dart off left or right, like it couldn't find a nice little balance. So I'm not sure what that'll be, whether that's the toe or something, I'm not sure. I'll have a play. I still need to do an actual proper wheel alignment on this. I've only ever used the string line just to get the toe. I haven't really done much at the caster or anything, so that's probably playing like a pretty big part in that. But overall, it's damn good progress for today. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers for watching.